Money Talk Viewpoint. We are an online podcast and financial education platform for fluent investors.
So I help small to mid-sized business owners get found online.
Okay, when you say get found online, how do you mean that? In any particular social media, or tell me?
Yes, so
go ahead.
Absolutely. So I help them get found on their website, help their website to get found. I help them get found on social media and all sorts of different online assets.
Tell them specifically, but I asked them, what is it? How can the audience relate to what you do? Tell them exactly, give them an idea of what you do. What are the pain points you serve?
Sure. So the problems that a lot of people have online is that they don't get found. So when somebody searches for a specific thing, like let's say they're searching for family office lawyer or something like that, they don't show up in their local area. And so that causes a problem with our authority and trust and so on. So what we do is we help people utilize video, which is very well take people like video right now. It's 40 times more effective to do video than it is to have like text out there on your search. So what we do is we help them get found via video, and we help them get found on their website by putting that video on their website, by putting it on their social media and so on, so that when people are searching for their particular area, so let's say they want to find a financial planner in Lake Forest, Illinois, for example, that they show up right away online. So it creates that authority and that trust that, boy, this person's online. They have a lot of content online. So that's what I do. I help them get found online so that they can get more clients.
I mean, does this work well for the middle market, high net worth markets, any specific market that does better online and helping search engines, or is it for anybody?
Like it's really for, go ahead.
I'm going to say, let's say an example. Let's say that you are a physician, but you are a surgeon. So you're a surgeon in a specific area, neurosurgery or something like that. Does a guy like that need do they need to advertise online or have an online presence for that kind of person?
Yes, I would say yes, because oftentimes, even if they're referred by somebody that they know to the surgeon, the person will probably still want to do, right, this is a surgery coming up. That's very critical to my health. So a lot of times they'll look online and they'll say, okay, I want to see all about the surgeon. What are other people talking about when they mention the surgeon? So they'll look at their reviews, they'll look up, information that people have. They'll look at their website oftentimes. They might look at their social media. They really want to check that person out because this is a critical, situation for them.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'll tell you why. A lot of small businesses, particularly if they came from an area where they were not allowed to advertise. I know I was in the investment industry. We were not allowed to advertise. So I stepped into this market where I do this talk show, which is what I'm doing with you. And yes, part of my background is that I'm still secretive, not as a person, but as a business, because psychologically I'm still accustomed to you can't be out there in the public, but yet the public needs to know who I am. Let me ask you, how did you get into this business?
Yeah, so when I was working in sales, I was in sales for 30 plus years in the IT sales business. And I had worked for some large companies, and then I came across a small company I worked for, and they had no marketing. So I was trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I get people to call me instead of me having to call people? Because people prefer, right, when they call you versus you calling them on the phone, especially nowadays. So what I did is I studied internet, capabilities, and I started. This is years ago, trying to get found online by terms that people would search for when they're looking for what I offered. And so that's how I got into it in the first place. And then I said, I can really help out other businesses with this, like doctors, dentists, lawyers, and such. And so that's when I started getting into it. And just recently, what I found out was video is becoming more and more dominant. And social media, everybody's spending more time on social media. a couple of hours a day is what the average person is spending. So you combine those two together, you put video out there for companies to give them more authority and to let people know who they are. And then they get to know you, like you, trust you a lot better when they see you on video. It's just amazing what video does. I mean, I feel like I know you a lot better just talking with you on video here, just by your mannerisms and some of the things you say. I can pick up on that. And so that's something we do is we take those videos and we put it everywhere, that people can get found, like Twitter or it's now known as X, and Facebook, now known as Meta, and YouTube and Google, and their website. So there's all these different places that you can take that same video and embed it so that people, when they do searches, they get found in a lot of different places, not just one, not just their website, not just YouTube, but also all these other sites that people might be doing searches on, such as Facebook.
Yes, important factor too, because now I made a couple of notes right here. Again, get found online. That's important. And
Yes.
Going back to my experiences where I didn't even have that opportunity unless it was compliance approved. And if it was, even if it's compliance approved, if they didn't like what I said, they would take it off. And now that I'm independent and I represent family offices, which is a specialty. It's not like a person selling just a life insurance policy for $100 a month. We're talking
That's
hundreds
right.
of millions of dollars because it's
Yes.
a much larger clientele. So it's a specialty. And I get a lot of people that want to get on my show, but not all, many are called, few are chosen. That's what
Yes.
that's what family office is. We don't take everyone. But I wanted to ask you about you brought up something here specifically about websites. Now, we had a website and we got rid of it. And the reason being is because they explained to me that websites do nothing but confuse people. They click on a button and they're clicking 15 different buttons, and every time you click on a button, they get lost. So
Yes.
and what's happening is there's a group that understands that. And I'm going to say they're the under 40 group.
Hmm.
They're reared in social media. But the over 40 group, they don't need to, they get terrified of even turning on a computer. They can do their email on their cell phone. Give me your feedback on that on a website. Is a website better or is a landing page? For the landing page, you hit the landing page, you're putting in your data information, and you send them directly to where they're going to go. Which works better for the professional practitioner? Whether it's a law firm, accounting firm, financial advisors, attorneys, which really works better for the professional person?
Well, if you think about it, if they haven't seen your landing page, if they didn't receive an email or an ad that had your landing page associated with it, which is just a mini website, a landing page is just a mini website. They're not going to find your website unless there's an ad or they search for it. They actually type in your name. If it wasn't an ad that came to them, they'll type in your company's name if they know it, or your name, and then you'll pop up online, right? And when they're looking, they're going to see reviews on you, and so on. They'll probably see your website too, and they'll say, "Oh, here's their website. Let me check out their website." So they go to your website, they click on it, and the problem with websites, like you said, it's normally been like an online brochure, and people get lost if you offer multiple different things. It's easy for people to get lost. So what you do with the website is you have the video is a very important thing to put on the first page of your um, of your website. Excuse me, one second. So yeah, you put that on your website and you can explain. Here's how you get around my website. If you're interested in this question, here's where you go to get that question, or these questions. Here's where you go to get those answered. You just click on my blog, or whatever it might be, or you want my contact information, just go to my contact information on the tab above. So you direct them with a video, and that's very important. Google recommends you have a video on your front page because
Front
it
page,
makes it easier.
the front page of your website, you should have a video.
Yes, the front page of your website should have an explainer video to explain what you do and how they can navigate your website.
That's impressive. And again, when a person you don't know what you don't know.
Yes,
And
yes,
I'm reflecting back on the number of people I know who, unless they're working for a large enough practice where they're paying a whole group of people, which can be kind of costly.
oh
But
yeah,
for the person who is a practitioner who's starting out on their own, because nobody's an independent doctor anymore. The doctors have to be part of an association or they're part of some group unless they're in a small town. But in your around a large or major city, you don't have a choice. You have to be part of whatever the group is called. But if you're coming
yes,
out of a firm as an attorney, you
yep,
may be a private practitioner or a financial advisor. You're a private practitioner or an insurance agent, unless they're part of some independent big group, that has property casualty. They're independent. And if you're family office like me, I'm independent. So
yes,
to me is a major issue because a lot of times they do not know where to start.
yes, yes, that's true.
What's a good starting point for a person coming out in the beginning? Is
So
I'm sorry, I was going to say, is it the website? Is it the landing page? Is it the
it's everything.
link?
It's because
Okay.
people prefer different sites. For example, they like Facebook or they like YouTube or they like to go to someone's website or they want to do all three. So you want to be out there on all of the media, social media, the popular social media especially, and all the popular websites, for your industry, for your, all the associations. So the more you're out there, and there's ways that you can do this automatically in some cases, depending on how it's set up. So now I can get out there on all these different medical sites. For example, if I'm a doctor, I can, of course, make sure that I'm getting found for my website by doing certain things on my website. Um, so video is a very key thing to that right now. I mean, Google loves video. They bought YouTube. They own YouTube. And a lot of people say that YouTube is the number two most searched search engine out there. So people use YouTube a lot to find out how to fix things that they have, a lot of their problems. So they'll type in their problem and they'll get a video coming back to explain it to them because they prefer video. People prefer video nowadays. So that all makes sense, I think, is to try to get yourself in a multiple different places because people will look around, right? They won't just look at one thing.
No, here's another point I want to bring out. When I first started this whole podcasting, it wasn't called a podcast, but what happened was YouTube created the podcast channel sometime about November.
Yes,
Before that, it was just a video. And so I did the videos in the beginning. And so I learned to take the video and chop it up and make it into a podcast. One video, chop it up 3 times, make it a podcast. But
that's right.
the question I had, because the problem that I had was being hacked. Is there a way
Uh-huh.
for people to protect themselves from being hacked? See, when I first started, I started in 2000. It seems like 1,000 years ago, but it was 2021. But I didn't actually launch until 2022. And I swear it feels like I spent so much time meeting people, researching what to have them say and learning how to get it right. And then I got it up and running. I would put it on, I would do like I'm doing on Zoom now. Went from Zoom, I would launch it up through YouTube. And then we had a premiere launch for people. And then I had it on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all. And what happened? Everything got hacked.
Hmm.
Now, this happens to people. How do you, what is some information or suggestions you would have for a person that's setting out on their own practice to prevent themselves from getting hacked?
Yes, number one, you want to have a test done. They have tests that will mimic a person that's trying to hack your site. So there's things out there that there are companies. What they do is penetration tests. They call them security penetration tests. So you want to get one of those done because they'll help you identify where the holes are from a security standpoint and how a spammer could get into your or a hacker could get into your particular sites. So they can help you identify what those holes are, and then they can also recommend how to fill those holes up so you don't get hacked. It's
Oh,
called a pen test. They call it pen test for short. So if you do a search on pen test, there's a number of companies out there that do them. And I worked for a company that actually did penetration tests for security.
PEN test, pen test.
Yes, PEN, like penetration. Yep,
Okay.
stands for penetration.
What
Mhm.
is the difference in that and a cyberbacker?
Well, um, actually, I don't know cyber hacker that well. I haven't heard that term.
I just, I,
But
I was just introduced to that term within the last day. It's called a
oh
cyber.
yeah,
Yeah, you know, what happens is
I'll look it
you
up.
talk to people online, you start learning God knows everything. I never heard of cyberbacker before, but it's called a cyberbacker. And I guess they're like I don't know what it is. That's what I'm asking
Yeah.
you. I'll look it up myself.
Well, I work for a company that does security, so I haven't heard that one, but there's a lot of different terms going out and it changes every day. So, cybersecurity is key to have somebody take a look at it for you and help you make sure that you don't have holes that they can easily get into and hack your sites.
I tell you what it reminds me of. Many years ago, my husband started his own. He was a commodities trader, and he left the trade floor. And he and some partners set up. They built their own. This is the early '80s, like 82,
Uh-huh.
84. They built their own software company. They could name their own
Oh yeah.
price. Within a few years of that, the number of kids coming out of school with software backgrounds forced them to lower their price. And
Yep.
I imagine that's going to happen with this security protection and security, whatever, cyberbacking.
Yes.
All
Yes.
the cybersecurity is becoming such a critical issue that there are more students coming out of school who have a cyber
Yes.
background. My daughter's dating a guy who has a cyber. They're in France. See, this guy has a cyber program and a straw company, but he's studying cybersecurity because it is that important of an issue.
It is. It is very important. It changes every day, and there's no such thing as being 100% protected. So no matter what you do, you just want to make sure that you don't make it easy because if they go to your site and they find it's hard, they're going to go, well, I don't want to work on a hard one. I'm going to go somewhere else where it's easy to hack into. So they'll find vulnerabilities on other sites and go after those sites first. So it's kind of, it's important to make it hard for them because they'll give up after a time because they're trying to make money and that's how they do it. They find people that are the most vulnerable.
Oh boy. So are the private practitioners, small businesses are most vulnerable, aren't they?
Yes, a lot of small businesses think that they're immune to security hacks. It's not true. If you look at the statistics, how many small businesses are getting hacked every day, you'll find that there's quite a few. So you have like a 1 in 10% chance actually right now of getting hacked as a small business owner. And a lot of people think that, oh, it's only large companies that are getting hacked, like Microsoft and HP recently just got hacked in the last few days, a major hack. So yeah, but it happens to small businesses all the time.
I think I did my one. I did my 1 in 10 about a year ago, or my 10 in
Yeah.
10 because it kept going over and over again. But what it did for me as an individual, the fear you experience is unbelievable. But I think I
Oh,
trained myself to get past that habit of being so fearful.
yes.
Always a solution, no matter what the problem is, there's a solution to it, and you just have to keep looking around to find that solution. But it's not impossible.
Right. And a lot of them are human issues like they through email. So somebody will try to, they call it phishing. They'll fish information out of you to figure out your information so that they can hack your company. So they'll call somebody in the company and they'll ask them certain questions, pretending like they're the CEO of the company. Nowadays, you can actually create a AI voice to sound like anybody, and so it's really difficult. And you have to have there's education out there that helps people though in companies to prevent them from giving out private information and then to make sure they verify that they're talking to the right person, if they think they are. So there's all sorts of education too that needs to. It's not just all automation tools. It's also, people education on how to prevent a hack.
Let me ask you another question here. It's very important. Now, the person's out there now and they're looking how to reach out to you. How do they find you?
Yeah, so the easiest way is just to go to twomoreprofits.com. It's the number two, MORE,
Okay. I might have
PRO.
type it in the chat box while you're telling me.
Sure,
That way I'm going to add that to the end of our video so they can see this.
sure.
But I think that's a very, very important factor that people are looking for ways to make their presence better known.
Yes.
And they want to find a way not to be eaten up by hackers in the process of getting there. And
That's right.
they didn't know who to reach out to get themselves up and start. You know, there's so many different things that when you start a new business, there's so much stuff you need to know. And many practitioners,
Absolutely.
so one person starting out, well, today you're starting out of your house. Now that
That's right.
nobody goes to the office anymore. So we're back at work.
Yes, that's right.
And what has helped a lot with that is that having technology to get yourself, okay, 2 more profits. I'm gonna print that. I'm gonna make sure I write that down. And that'll go on.
Sure. Absolutely.
So 2 more. Now, let me ask another question here. Who do you serve? Is it a particular regional area that you serve or section area you serve? Or tell me more about that.
Sure. So I've been focused on recently on doctors and lawyers and doctors, lawyers, and anybody that's a local business that is they're when they get a new client in, it's worth a few $1,000s at least to them per year. Those are the types of businesses I go after because I can create the biggest impact for them, help them get more leads, help them get found online. And I can also help them with, how to convert those leads into clients or patients.
I think that's so important because that's what everybody looks for. I don't care what business you're in.
Right.
Our business will only prosper when we have a customer base, and that's going to come from the new generation. So that's important to know. Anything else you want to share with us that you think the audience would want to know about you or about your business?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that, we can sit down and understand not just what the person does, but why they got into the business. So what's important right now is branding. So a lot of companies out there, they just sound like everybody else. I'm a doctor and I'm a surgeon and I'm a brain surgeon and here's what I do. All the brain surgeons say the same thing, and usually their websites even look a lot alike. So what you need to do is say, why did you figure out how can you compel somebody to want to work with you? Well, one of the reasons might be the why. Well, I got into this business because, I had an uncle or a grandparent or somebody that had suffered from this. And I said, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to learn. I'm going to be the best brain surgeon that I can be. And here's what I've done since then. I've had this many successful operations and have this kind of education. And I feel I can do the best job for you. So those are the types of things that we want to bring out in customers today so that it's reflected in not only their website, but their videos, their social media, everywhere they are online. So that's what the key thing is, to find out why are they in the business, what makes them unique, and why should somebody do business with them.
Let me ask about that too, because sometimes people don't know why they're there.
That's right.
And
yes.
I'm here to tell you why I say that. When I was working for one of the investment firms, investment banks, I worked several of them over my career. But the last one I worked in, I had an opportunity that didn't look great until I got into it because it put me with a lot of young people. And I thought, my God, when they do that, they're trying to get rid of you. But it wound up being, I had the highest producing team in the country. And they kept wondering, what was it? One of the things I did with them, I asked them why they came to work at the bank. Now, I worked for the investment house, but the investment people worked within the bank itself. So that's what a lot of firms do now. And I found out a lot of them did it. They only there because they had to pay their college loans off.
Yeah, that's not good. You want to, you got to find that, why are you doing this? What does it make you feel like? What makes you different from everybody else, right? I mean, those are key things. You may not have a compelling why, you might be in the business and you might find that, okay, well, I'm in it because, I enjoy helping people, with their financial planning and helping them make the most money they can and take the least risk possible at making that money. So that might be it, but it's, why should they do business with you, right? So, there's got to be reasons why. So if you can find those whys, that's okay. It's not a compelling why for why you started in the business, but it's a compelling reason why they should do business with you.
One of the things I did with my young groups of people is that I helped them to do one thing. I taught them how to network through the company. and how to
Uh-huh.
define where they really wanted to be. And I explained to them that there's no guarantee you're going to jump out of there next week and be where you want to be, but it'll put you in the
Right.
direction of where you want to go. So I didn't have an exact why, but someone in my heart I thought about when I was younger. I actually studied to be a chemist.
Ah,
I was
yes.
a research scientist. That's what it was. And I wound up on Wall Street, and it was sort of happenstance. Not by
Yeah.
I didn't want what happened. I worked in a laboratory, and scientists do not have interpersonal skills. And I
Mhm.
recognized that I was like any scientist. I just didn't have strong interpersonal skills. And what happened, I left the country to go find myself. You know, back in the day, you could do that.
Yes.
My father was an ex-military, he's ex-Navy. So when I came back, he says, I'm going to send you to New York. I want you to meet a friend of mine. He'll help you get a job. So I was terrified of going to be thrown in the military, but it wasn't. I wound up with a guy he had saved this guy's life in World War II. And the man
Wow.
worked at a Wall Street firm. This is when to get to a vice president, you had to come through a lot because they usually started at the bottom back then. I'm talking years back, and you worked your way up. You didn't come in as a VP
Sure.
because you got an MBA. You worked your way up. So
Yes.
what happened was I was like the only minority in that position that I had. There weren't a lot of us at those days. But what he
Mhm.
did was he brought me into the firm. And I wound up working in the back office and bond accruals and stock analysis. I did a lot of stuff that introduced me to that industry. And he brought me in because he said, if you studied science, you have the ability to recognize numbers and formulas and strategies. That's how I got into a firm. That started my career. But
That's awesome.
that was the beginning of my whole life, and it was because of my father. And because he had my father had a lot of integrity. He was a Navy CB. You know, he's an
Mhm.
engineer, chief engineer for the largest hospital in Chicago. But again, he started at the bottom. He started
Yep.
in a
Sure.
low-level job, a maintenance man to work his way up because he had to go to school. So things have changed. Today, we just go get a degree and done more degrees and get put into a position. But that bottom starting still has a benefit. People do learn.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because you learn the business and you learn how you can help people, right? With the reading of charts and companies, earnings and their research that you do on the company and all that. It's not just, going to a website and doing analytics. You have to find out who's behind those analytics and what they're doing and what their purpose is and have they been successful in the past and so on and so forth. So there's a lot to learn, right? And you learn that back office and you learn that from being out there in the market.
Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I have really enjoyed this. Anything else you want to bring up before we wrap up for the day?
No, I just, if people are interested and want to see what I can do for them, I can do this very quickly. Actually, I can get them found online. So if they want to try it out, I can get them a video made and we can get them found in a big city that they're interested, or excuse me, a city that they're interested in, maybe their local area, a big city in their local area they want to get found for their particular line of business.
All right. Well, I hope that everybody who's listening today reaches out to Joe. And I'll put this on the end of the video, twomoreprofits.com.
Yes. Or they can call me if they like, or text me at 630.
I'm going to actually put that in the chat box there.
Sure. So that's, I'll say it too, as well as I type it in.
Okay.
So it'd be 630-730-8530.
Excellent. 63, write this down.
Of course, I typed it wrong.
630-730-8530.
30.
Okay, lots of threes and lots of zeros in there.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, Joe, I'm going to let you go.